So mineral rights. In South Africa, we have a system, an online system called SAMRED, where all the rights are applied for. There's 9 provinces, but there's 10 regional departments. You apply for your right in the department where the provincial department where your right is. When you apply for a right, there's different aspects you need. You need obviously your mining right application or your prospecting right application. Your mining right application will need some engineering aspects because of your pit design, your mine design. Then there's the environmental aspect, which came in 2014 with the Environmental Management Act, where you have to have an application from the environmental perspective that must be done by an independent consultant. So no matter how much information you have, if your environmental consultant has not identified your sensitive areas or has not identified the impacts of this application, your application won't go through. And not just that, fine, you get through this. And there's a consultation period of 30 days in this. We have to notify all state departments, all your neighbors, the landowners, the community, put out site notices, and this is the part where it gets sticky. Yes, you can pay someone to do your application your way. This goes out to consultation, and then you get an NGO coming to you, or some environmental sort of group coming to you, and they ask for all your applications, because once your application is in, all this information is now public information. You cannot say no to anyone who asks for this information. You now give this information out to an environmental group or an NGO or whatever they are, and they will dissect your application and find those things you try to hide, and they will appeal your application. And that is where you come into problems. Yes, you can pay someone in the middle and do this and do that, but if it does get appealed, you can't pay that person. And that's where you're going to be stuck. And that is where a lot of mining companies do come stuck. Because you get a cheaper guy to do your stuff. He's cheaper, he does a shorter report, he doesn't go to assess everything. And the other side, in your consultation process, you get someone who's going to come back and target you. And the problem is you never know who's going to come back in your consultation process. Because you put out an ad in the newspaper, anyone who wants to be a part of the process can be a part of the process. There's no stopping anyone. And this stuff have very strict timelines. So for prospecting rights, you've only got 90 days from the day you put your application in till the day you submit the last report to the department. For mining rights, you've got 45 days. They give you feedback, and after that feedback, you've got 108 days to submit the final report, which is your EIA. So in a prospecting right application, you've got a basic assessment process, which is 90 days. And in the mining right process, you've got a full EIA process, of which a scoping phase is 45 days. And then you've got a full EIA phase of 108 days. And in these 245 and 108 days, this is now 2 public participation processes of 30 days each. And that's where a lot of people come back unstuck, is in your public participation process. Because the people who review your documents are not the people who want you to go forward. And when if you're looking for a problem, you will find a problem. Everyone who does reports, we all are human. There's errors in most reports. And some of them are small errors, but they'll make it a big thing. So, as I've said, if you're looking for a problem, you will always find a problem, and they are looking for a problem. So now you've handled all your documents, you've done everything the right way. It might have been objected, it might have went further, you don't know, but you got your application for your environmental authorization. Now your granted application, you must still let everyone know who was part of your consultation process that you've got an application. They now can appeal this application, this decision again. So you might have gotten to the end, but you're not at the end yet, because this now goes to environmental affairs, not to mineral resources anymore. So every decision goes through, if it has to be appealed, goes to environmental affairs. So now it's a different set of people adjudicating your application, and at this last stage, you can still get rejected. You can still not get anything. Because even with this environmental authorization, you don't have a prospecting right, you don't have a mining right. Only after this is granted will the mineral laws then process your full application. So you've gone through this, and I say 90 days, but you get a decision after a year. So you've gone through this, let's say, a year and a half, 2 years, to come to the end, and you could have nothing. So then your prospecting rights, every prospecting right is granted for a maximum of 5 years, renewable for three more years on one renewable. on one renewal application. A mining permit is granted for 2 years, and you can renew it 3 times for 1 year each. But a mining permit is only 5 hectares of land. It cannot be anything more. And a mining right is, however big your property is, for a 30-year period, renewable for another 30 years. The problem is, if you're prospecting, you prospect in that 5 years. If you do not renew it, you do not prospect. You stop all your operations. You get a closure certificate and you stop. You can't keep going if you've got 2 more boreholes to drill, or if you've got 1 more trench to dig, or you still want to do mapping. And the biggest problem is, after this 5 years, if you do not renew it, somebody else is going to apply over your right. And that's costing your company money, because firstly, they paid for the application, they paid for 5 years of prospecting, and then someone fell short in the renewal because it needs to be renewed 60 days before it expires. And like small stuff like that, and the person responsible for your prospecting right, your mining permit, and your mining right is usually the geologist, because they have to see the life of mine going forward or the life of the prospecting application. So if you fall short on those things, somebody else gets your right, you can get fined because you're still prospecting and you don't have a right. And as you've seen, you don't want your company to be the front page of the news as environmentally insensitive or harmful to the environment or not producing in a sustainable manner. You don't want to have those sort of negative aspects, and if you work for a bigger company, that now brings down your share price. And in the end, so even though you're not the environmental person, as a geologist, you're responsible for the right, you're responsible for the planning of the right, you're responsible for every hole that's drilled. And then back to applying for a prospecting right. When you apply under the MPRDA, the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act.